Best hitter on the team? That's easy. Second best hitter on the team this season? That's a surprise and a half. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or hockey. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Astros 5, Pirates 4 last night in Houston. The chances at what would have been a really uplifting, not to mention important sweep were basically thrown away in the form of wasting an early 4-run lead, a couple of ugly errors by O'Neal Cruz, Colin Holderman continuing to have struggles in significant situations. Lousy, just a lousy loss. And I'm not here to pile on this morning. I'm way more moved by something else that happened not only last night in Houston, but it's been happening really for 3 months now. And that's that Joey Bart went 3 for 4 with a 2-run homer. And somehow, it seems normal. In fact, Bart has become the number one catcher on a team that currently has a number one overall pick in the system, Henry Davis, of course, that very recently had Andy Rodriguez considered to be the number one prospect in the system. Catcher. And when we were on this show, what you and I were going over again and again and again is how will they ever find room for both of these kids? One of them has to be traded. And here we are, 100 plus games into the 2024 season, and someone else is clearly the number one catcher. And oh, by the way, could be that for a very long time. Bart's 27 years old, and what Bart's doing is not an accident. This was a former number 2 overall pick of the Giants back in 2018. First round, second pick. Didn't work out for him in San Francisco. It's working out for him now in a big, big way in Pittsburgh. And when I say a big way, I mean, well, just listen to some of this. He's batting .262, which in the modern version of Major League Baseball is a big deal. .350 on base percentage. The home run last night was his 7th. The 2 RBIs gave him 24. This is all in 122 at bats. So you can take that as a positive or a negative, because you can say, oh, it's small sample size. But within what we've actually witnessed with our own eyes, that .825 OPS of Bart's is second only to Reynolds on the team. But wait, it's second only to the Cardinals' Wilson Contreras among all catchers in the majors. If you were to throw out that qualifier for the batting title, the one where you have to have 3.1 plate appearances for each of your team's games, if you throw that out and you just look at all catchers with 100 or more at bats, Bart is second only to Wilson Contreras. And I mean, yeah, again, I could rain all over this. I could say, well, his history, his time in San Francisco and that system and up with the Giants strongly suggests that this is going to fade off, that he's going to regress to the mean. Water always finds its own level. If you're 27, you're no longer a prospect. I don't know what the magic age is for that in baseball, but it feels like it's as soon as you hit 26, you're toast as far as being a prospect. Or I could just say, James Harrison didn't start for the Steelers until he was 29. I know, different sport, but just thought I'd throw that out there. It does happen. People are late bloomers. They will uncover different things about themselves. They will adjust. They will be humbled. But the one part of the Bart story, well, no, 2 parts that you can't deny is that at the outset of his professional career, he was deemed to be, well, by at least one team, the second best available player on the planet. Something was there. And yeah, I know Henry was number 1, which, by the way, is why you don't give up on Henry, or Andy for that matter. The other is that Bart is doing what he's doing. It's undeniable. Clint Hurdle had a zillion great sayings, but probably my favorite was, if it's in there, it's in there. And that sounds really lame. It sounds like there's not much to it, like, hey, thanks, Skip. But what he means when he says it is, we saw this player do this at this level, so we know it's possible. We don't have to wonder about it. We don't have to project it. It's right there in front of us. So the challenge for us and the player is, how do you bring that out consistently? How do you make that be the default mode or something close to the default mode for that athlete? Bart just keeps hitting. And by the way, it doesn't get discussed anywhere near as much. He's also pretty good behind the plate. This isn't exactly some albatross back there. And it's actually kind of funny to me, honestly. And I'm sure I'm guilty of not having talked about him enough or giving enough credit to the Pirates and everybody who's made that possible, from acquisition to the hitting that he's doing right now, including for Andy Haynes. I can't have it both ways. I can't rip Haynes for everything, and then when something goes well, say, it couldn't have been him. But it's wild to me that here we are watching this team night after night after night, and Bart's just become the number one catcher. And I get that the current competition isn't all that formidable. Yes, Monty Grandal is barely hitting at all, and he's been not good defensively. The rest of the depth chart is just a whole bunch of Jason DeLay. But be sure of this. This is the surprise of the season. And man, do the Pirates need those. They really do. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Chris, and I was expecting and did get a whole bunch of these after the game last night. Chris asks, DK, are the Pirates just stuck with O'Neill Cruz at short? I know he doesn't want to change positions, and we do need his bat in the lineup, but he's killing us with the errors. Cruz, of course, had 3 errors last night, with one sequence early on being especially costly. And, you know, there's nowhere to hide from 3 errors in a game. There's nowhere to hide from 20 errors in 90 starts at short this season. 20 errors in 90 starts. That's a .939 fielding percentage that is so ghastly, meaning based on not the games but the total chances, that I can't even wrap my head around it, except that I watch him. You watch him. And every single time the ball goes his way, whether it's on a pop-up, whether it's on the most routine of grounders, whether it's on a ball that he's already collected and has firmly in his right hand, I'm hesitant. You're hesitant. We're waiting to see the conclusion of the play. Some of that is lapses in concentration. Some of that is a lack of sure-handedness. And then some of it, like the big misplay last night in Houston, is just, what are you doing out there? That's Brian Reynolds' ball. Leave it alone. He's coming in. You're going out. There's no way Reynolds wasn't calling him off there, which is what the outfielder is supposed to do in the outfield. I have believed for some time that Cruz was going to be moved to the outfield. I still happen to believe that. I might be mistaken. I might be misguided in thinking that he'd be okay in the outfield. I know the arm would play. He's got an 81 grade arm. But reads off the bat, running the proper route, communicating, finding the right cutoff, It's not like when they tell you in Little League you're playing the outfield because nobody ever hits the ball out there. That was me, by the way, in Little League. Coach watched me take grounders. That was the end of that. He's like, how do you feel about left field, son? Like deep left field. But there also could be an argument that if Cruz is put into an outfield position, it would make life easier for him as a hitter. It would preserve his health beyond just the ongoing concern that there has to be about the ankle. And, you know, that other thing where it would make the team better. Cruz does do some things at short that others can't. He does make plays that others can't, but there's no way anybody could watch him on a regular basis and say that the good offsets the bad. Or should I say, the really good offsets the really bad. You can't have that at short. You just can't. You not at that position. It's always going to find a way to hurt you at that position. And I do believe that there's at least a conversation to be conducted after the season, not during the season. No chance. I appreciate the question. It's a good one and it's a fair one. And it's not even necessarily a criticism of the kid. It's just, you know, there's a reason that for a million years, nobody that tall's played that position. And maybe just from that perspective alone, it's not meant to be. I don't know. Teams off today, traveling back from Houston. Series begins at PNC Park tomorrow against, the Diamondbacks again. This just doesn't let up. Remember, we were talking about this schedule. It's a grind. And we'll be back with another one of these tomorrow as well.